The American federal government, and especially law enforcement, is completely corrupt. Here are my own personal experiences. John Corzine is being protected even though he is clearly guilty of ripping off $1.6 billion. And when they ask the federal regulators if they can pin it on him, they deny the obvious. They just say, we don't know. But they do know. Or if they don't know, then they're idiots. Because there's no question that he had this big bond position that he lost, that completely blew out MF Global. And then he decided, well, I'll just grab this cash that's in the customers' accounts to see if I could buy time. And this may turn around. But it didn't turn around. Period. It's that simple. So, they're protecting John Corzine. They're protecting PIMCO. On the second time, they already paid off $92 million for rigging the Treasury market in 2005. But there was no criminal case there. Okay? There should have been. But the government protects these people. See, so now we have the Casey Anthony case, where they're worried about protecting the Florida state attorney that completely screwed up the case because they knew that George Anthony murdered this kid because they were sitting in a deposition and heard from the shrinks, okay? And Bias knew it too, and Cheney Mason knew it too. They all knew it. And so what did they do? They said, oh, we have an accident. They either are total imbeciles or they're protecting this molester for the murder of this kid for whatever reason. But that's what they did. So, yes, she got an acquittal, and now she's scared stiff because people want to kill her because they don't believe that she's innocent until George gets convicted. But the FBI won't touch him. Since June 25th, I've asked them over and over again, please. And they're just in a bunker. The FBI doesn't want to hear. And by the way, I'm going to point out a case. This was a big spy ring, the John Walker family spy ring. His daughter, he was soliciting his daughter to become a spy, and she decided to run to the FBI. But the FBI refused to listen to her until the mother, the wife of Walker, finally came to the FBI, and they listened to the wife. But they didn't listen to the daughter. Okay? Why? Who are these idiots in the FBI that make a decision that's completely false without even looking into it? Oh, well, we know everything. Okay? So when a legitimate complaint comes in, they just say, that's bogus, we won't bother with it, or whatever their stupid reason is, okay? In this case, the reason is we don't want to expose Lawson Lamar, the state attorney in Florida. We want to protect him. We're not protecting George Anthony. Believe me, okay? But the point is, he's getting protected because they're so worried about exposing Lawson Lamar. You see, 9/11. That's pure and simple. Okay, the whole thing is a monster crime by George Bush, John Ashcroft, and company. There's a pile of them. And then their defense is that they couldn't possibly conspire. And oh really? Okay, well, if you can't conspire, then we'll just forget about it. That's it. Forget the evidence. The whole crime was filmed. So let's not look at that. And by the way, every time I want to show it to somebody, they get upset. They don't want to know. They say it. They don't want to think that our government could actually do something like that. But that's the problem. They're in fantasy land. And the issue is, let's look at what the evidence shows and be done with it. Okay? And why would we want to protect perpetrators like George Bush that are guilty? Why would we want to do that? It's ridiculous and crazy. Self-destructive. Psychotic. Off the wall. Nuts. See? So, I don't know how to approach this. Because these people seem to think, well, you know, we'll just not respond. They sent 2 marshals to see me, thinking that I'll be intimidated, which is really a laugh, because that's never going to intimidate me, period, okay? Because I made a couple of remarks to call Assistant U.S. Attorney Robert Spector to account for this bogus approach to these crimes. And so they thought, well, we'll just send a couple of marshals. So Mr. Marshal, U.S. Marshal Matt Parker and I have had numerous conversations. And he thinks, oh, I'll talk to some writer and we'll be buddies. Well, I'm not buddies with traitors. So when you're protecting traitors, we're never going to be buddies. Mr. Matt Parker, the U.S. Marshal, he thinks we're going to be buddies. You see? So, that's the problem here. In other words, these people think it's all a big joke. And, the perpetrators just keep on wrecking the United States, and they're all protected because they're never going to go against their boss. Why not? Why not? In other words, if the boss, the U.S. Attorney, David Fine, is guilty, just like Ashcroft was guilty, then arrest him. That's it. He doesn't get a free pass because he's the U.S. Attorney. He has to do his job. And if he thinks he's going to jump into a crime and be part of a gigantic 9/11 inside job treason, and we should all look the other way, that is not supposed to happen here. And according, as far as I'm concerned, it won't happen. That's why I'm making these YouTubes. I'm hoping to God people start listening and thinking for themselves and realize how ridiculous this whole thing is to ourselves, to allow these bribes to go to the Congress, that every one of them is taking bribes, okay? And then they say, oh, we really don't want to do it. Well, hey, you make the law, so if you really didn't want to do it, just, Jefferson is in jail because he put 90 grand in a freezer. So unless you put it in the freezer, the bribe doesn't count. How ridiculous and idiotic and nuts can it get? You see? So we just have to call bribes campaign finance and look the other way. And these people wouldn't possibly kick back for bribes, and all the money that comes into Jim Himes' account, most of it, more than 70%, comes in from out of the district. What do they want? What are they giving Himes money for? What do they get in return for this money? They're just throwing the money away? Is that what you people actually believe? I mean, how stupid can that be? That you would believe something as nutty as that? Because of course these people aren't throwing their money away. You see, this is how bizarre the country has become. This is standard. Nobody's opposing it. And when you talk about bribes, you can't get the word bribe out of their mouths. They don't want to talk about bribes. They talk about money, they talk about greed, but none of that's a crime. Bribes are crimes. And the political correctness, brainwashing, trance prevents them from ever saying bribe. How do you like that? So, I mean, we're in dire shape. I'm just hoping that this will hit a note, hit a nerve, please.